on the Crypto Spotlight series. Today we have a very special guest with us, Rohit Tripathy, who is founder of this company called RanchiMall. Uh, he's been in the industry for a very long time and was one of the first initial people to do an ICO in India, and the first company to have been registered on a blockchain as a contract. So RanchiMall is incorporated on a blockchain. Very interesting person with a huge, background and a lot of experience. So we get to learn from his experience of, from what was there in 2017 to today in 21 and how the industry is going. Thank you, Rohit, for taking out time and, talking to our community members today.
It's a pleasure, Manav. Blockchain India is a very good initiative which has got probably one of the largest concentration of blockchain people at one platform. And I have known Akshay in an independent group in STPI. STPI had as a blockchain group, which mostly has people from STPI, and STPI is Software Technology Parks of India. Mm-hmm. So I'd known him independently, but now we are professionally engaged and we're talking on this interview. So it's a pleasure.
It's very nice to have you here, Rohit. So we'd like to know your journey. How did your journey started off before you got into the blockchain space? What were you doing, and what has been your experience like?
So in summary, I have been an adventurous guy since I was a kid. I did my first stock investment when I was only in class 8th. Wow. My father was running a coal mine in Orissa, and we had a transport contractor who insisted on my dad that he should buy a stock of Nagarjuna fertilizers, and my father said, "Okay, talk to my son." So I got into that, and I realized within 3 months that the stock prices has gone up. More than, like, it went from 10 rupees to 32 rupees, and our savings bank account was only giving us like 5%, like 3.5% to 5% a year. So I knew that this is something big. So that's how I started my journey to start looking into something out of the normal, out of the other people do. And from that, I had my first startup in 1994. Okay, it was in Ambedkar College, Delhi. I did 1 year commerce in 1994, and before doing engineering, as most of the Indians do. So the company was called AMCOL Enterprises, Ambedkar College AMCOL Enterprises. And then I came into, but of course, just a student enterprise, So I realized the problems, what we could have when you run a company. Okay, then I joined my engineering in Sangli, in an institute called PVPIT at Sangli, and there I had my second startup. Okay, that startup, and that second startup.
You're an early risk taker, since class 10, they're trying to find trends and taking the risk. That's very interesting.
yeah. So that startup also, I had many experiences there, but I realized that I should finish my engineering. And after my engineering, I did my MBA from National Institute of Industrial Engineering, where I got into stock investment once again because because I selected that institute because it was in Mumbai, and I lost all my money. And then I realized, okay, let's get a job now. Okay, and so it was .com bust, and then that's how I got into Ernst & Young, which was my first job.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you there. What were your two initial startups that you started off in Ambedkar and in your engineering college?
So in Ambedkar College, the idea was to get all the students together, okay, and whatever is the small businesses around, like a classified, okay. So my college was in Jheel, in East Delhi. Then okay, and so the idea was to get all the small shops which are together, aggregate them. Okay, and offer the same services at slightly better prices. Like, suppose my mind was only running as to what I could see and perceive then. So there are a lot of STD booths there, and there were a lot of people who wanted rental apartments, like students like me who were coming from outside, and and you could get a rental room at 600 rupees a month then. Okay, and then food, So idea was to get the best places. We could get all my classmates together and find all such services, aggregate them, and offer it to the people in the college and people around in the circle. That was
very interesting. I think so. You were way ahead than all these housing.coms and all these now these hostels and all that are coming up to aggregate the resources and give it to people. You were like 20 years way before that.
I was ahead in. I would have done the first Make My Trip also, a clear trip, because that idea was travel was my passion. And I realized that you need when internet came, the first idea was to do a travel website, before any of the sites were even available. We were dreaming and doing things out here. So, but I will tell you as we come in the conversation, once you start doing it, so once you have an idea, you want to do it. But once you start doing it, then the problems emerge. Okay, then you start seeing what the problems are, and then you are forced to question that if you're going to do something for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, okay, is this the best thing to do?
Exactly, makes sense.
And often the answer was no. So I was very clearly, I realized in Ambedkar College experience that all the students, sometimes they were friendly, they will come and give information, and sometimes like they would simply bunk classes and enjoy life and go watch movies. Okay, so so it was very difficult to get a professional working environment, and I clearly realized that we will not be able to get high quality service to the clients, and the clients will ultimately come with chappal and start beating us if we if that kind of team,
Yeah.
So every idea creates its own problems, and you got to solve it.
I agree. That's very interesting,
Yeah.
and that's something I really admire what you said, about trying to know if what you're doing, you're wanting to do for the next 10 years or not. And if not, then just leave it. And quality is something that, one should always look at. If there's no quality, then no point of doing anything else. So
See,
that's,
one of the
yeah.
I just try to add on that. Like today, we have Ola and all of these guys taking money by minting money by millions, and they're simply throwing the money on advertisement. Okay, I did the same thing in my first year of engineering. Okay, I took money from all my classmates and my friends. Okay, and threw the money in advertisement, literally in a kind of advertisement. Okay, I got 20 different cars. Okay, in my college, and I created a troop out there. Okay, with my own personal security guard. In first year of engineering, okay, and
that was your second startup. Was this your?
That was my second startup. That was my second startup. Okay. And then you realize that once you take money, you have to return money also. Okay, and that's when the danda happens. Danda happens when you have to return the money.
Again, something you learned very early in life.
Yeah. So then I realized. So I was almost basically I was broke, and my father had to rescue me after first year of engineering. I lost so much of money there. Okay, and then I realized that never in my life I would do anything where if I take money, I have to be 10,000% sure that the money has to be returned, and you have to do something valuable. So I would never do something like Ola or Flipkart. Even if someone were to offer me 10,000 crores and do it, I won't just do it, because if I can't see in my mind that I can return that 10,000 crores, well, I'm not going to do it.
Makes sense. And that's something, all the entrepreneurs here listening, or, the inspiring ones or existing there, that if we are looking at investments, we should be looking at, giving returns back to people who are investing, be it our family, friends, or any of the investors, be it retail or institutional. That's a point, very much needed for the industry to bring in positive outlook and, positive growth.
See, the problem has got really worse in crypto industry. Okay, so what has happened in crypto industry, because of certain dynamics, unique dynamics of the industry, people get very, very high valuation for very little work. Okay, like you do something above the normal and you will be a billionaire here. Okay, if you look at so, and essentially, but none of this money, okay, all of this money is essentially taking money from someone else and giving to someone else, and none of them, no idea is independently generating another business system, okay, that can have returns to the investors, and so people think that money is free, and I'm very, very happy, but next year, like this year, we are in a boom year, okay, and if you look at the history of Bitcoin, every 4 years we get a boom year, and after 1.5 of boom years we get a fall. Okay, so next year there's a fall year happening. Okay, in the middle of the next year.
Not this year. We are not going to see a bear market.
This year, no. The Bitcoin boom market, that they analyzed all the boom markets all the way from like the first boom which happened in 2010 itself. Went from 0.008. Bitcoin went to 0.08. Okay, so that's
a huge boom.
That's 10 to so basically 100 times increase. Okay, and so whenever a boom happens, the life cycle of a boom is all the buyers, they get dazzled, okay, and they say that they will lose an opportunity of their lifetime. So all the buyers, they troop in together, and when they troop in together, the prices start jumping beyond imagination. Okay.
Makes sense.
Now a point comes when at that point of time, the prices are so ridiculously high that every buyer can see that this is just stupidity now. Okay. So at that point of time, some of the buyers, they start selling, and when those buyers start selling, the prices starts coming down, and it goes down so rapidly after that, because it again catches the same avalanche, that it typically falls, and what I have seen, it falls to 80% of the previous high.
All right. Okay.
So 80% of the previous high. Okay. So in the last cycle, Bitcoin went up to $20,000.
Exactly, and it fell to
fell down to
3,000.
3,500. Okay, 3,500. It fell down. Okay, that was the lowest level. Okay, so this cycle, Bitcoin is going to go from $20,000 all the way up to $400,000.
Okay.
Okay, and from $400,000 going to fall back to $70,000 to $80,000.
All right. So for anyone out here listening to and following the market, according to Rohit and his analysis and his experience, you have seen the bear market is here to stay for a long time. So guys, don't and if you want the bull market to go on, then don't start dumping. Even after 1.5 years, the market might just go up, and we might see a higher rate of Bitcoin going upwards. All right, that's
the trick in this market is to stay the full cycle of 4 years. Okay, so every 4 years a halving event will happen in Bitcoin, and when the halving event happen, you have to wait 6 months, because it takes 6 months to absorb all the current excess buyers. When all of them have been absorbed, that's when the boom starts. Okay, so the boom will start go all the way up to 20, roughly at this point of time it is 20 times. But it will accelerate. It will accelerate. So if you look at the J curve, the J curve accelerates as the adoption goes. So what it means is from 20 it can become 25 or 30 also. We don't know that. Okay, it should accelerate. Okay, so it will accelerate and then fall back again and fall back down to 80%. Okay, and then hover around like 2-3 times there for another till the next halving event happens, and then after 6 months the whole cycle repeats. Okay, so this is the first time in any market. So I've been doing stock market investment since 1989. Okay, this is the first time in history of any financial instrument which is market driven that you can actually predict today what will happen in 2025, and it's amazing.
Very interesting. And the way since seeing your past and how you have described your analysis, I can I can put my money now just on your word, and go ahead and see how things can work, and seeing what is going to happen in 2025, looking at that trend.
And always the other rule in investment is always go for the safest one. Okay, so if someone is going to give you like a coin comes and gives you like 50 times this year, okay, next year when the fall happens, okay, those coins will lose all the value, 100% of it. Okay,
totally agreed with you.
So right now, so if you look at astronomy, for instance, why is sun so big and Jupiter so small compared to the sun, yet so big compared to Earth? Okay, it's because when the gaseous particles were there in the atmosphere, or in the interstellar space, you had only like all these helium and hydrogen gas particles, and they started coming together and they started getting a force of gravity. Okay, so that is a process which is similar to what is happening in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, the biggest guy had the biggest gravity, and it got most of the particles, most of the hydrogen and helium, and that's why sun is so big. Okay, and the second guy is like very small compared to the biggest guy. So second guy is Jupiter right now. Okay, so over a very long period of time, if this process runs, let's say 20 or 30 years, Bitcoin would be like the sun, and the next guy, which at this point of time it looks like Ethereum, but there is no guarantee that Ethereum is because Ethereum is still not a mass product. Okay, Ethereum is a very unique product at this point of time. Okay, so we know that will be very difficult to outdo Bitcoin. Okay, because Bitcoin is already big and it will keep on attracting new buyers on its own. The second guy will have to compete. So who is going to be the Jupiter of cryptocurrencies? We don't know that. So if you really want to have a long-term view, then always stick to the sun, which is Bitcoin.
That is a very interesting point, and I must say the explanation that you have had is one of the most interesting explanations I have seen in the last 4 or 5 years of being in this industry. And it's a very scientifically that you have, tried to explain the two different parts of it altogether. So on this note, tell me something, Rohit. How did you get into this industry? What attracted you to, look at crypto and blockchain as an industry?
See what happened with after I did my I control case. I realized that the way corporate structures are organized, okay,
Mm-hmm.
it essentially is a carrot and stick organization. Okay, so you basically take the employees, you give them a target, okay, that you have to do this and this, okay, and at the end of the year you do a performance appraisal, okay, and depending without and that performance appraisal is essentially whether the boss likes you or not. Okay,
Agreed.
so
Yes.
okay, so if through a very unscientific process, what you do is the person you like, you give him a raise, and the person you don't like, you give him less raise or you ask him to leave. Okay,
Yeah.
but that process is very, people don't realize it's hard on the employees. It's very hard on the employers also, because just to like the psychological energy that comes from the people who's pissed off, see,
True.
two friends, two exactly same friends, okay, coming at the same level. If one person gets 10,000 rupees, another guy, okay, the other guy, he has basically a panic attack. Okay, he will
Exactly.
start, he'll feel like his world has ended. Okay, and that creates a lot of employee discontent content. Okay, so what I realized that the way all our corporate structures are organized is if you keep on doing for 10 years, it would lead a heart attack for me. I just realized that I can't, I cannot, I almost had also. So I need a more fairer system, and I need a better system to work. And I told you I did my experiments in Ambedkar College, in Sangli, in
Yes.
Tripathy Sangli.
Yeah.
And in most of the time, when any time I tried people to give them power and freedom, it never worked. They were never working. Like I had a 4-star hotel in Kolhapur. Okay,
Hmm.
and all the people that were working with me, they all had good food and had good cars, and they will go. But when it came to work, everyone was like nothing. Okay, so I couldn't find a method as to how can you enable people to work without using this carrot and stick approach, which is
Mhm.
done in corporate environments. Okay, and I didn't have an answer to that, and so that answer is only emerging now. Which is do remote and let everyone has freedom. Don't control them on a day-to-day basis. And let them have fun in life. Let them have time in their life. Let them think properly and give them some very creative projects and make sure that people are on that project. So this is something which I'm learning over last 20 25 years essentially.
That's very interesting. You're talking about remote projects and talking about creativity, because today, suddenly last year, everybody was forced to work from home, and without any, mentally being prepared, be it the employers or the employees or teams as such who are used to sitting in the same room and working, working on Zoom calls or on different scenarios. So, any tips in your experience of working remote and doing that people can follow there?
Yeah, I mean, my first tip would be do not make it a replica of your office into your remote working environment. Okay, so
Okay.
don't ask people to punch in at a certain time, and don't ask them to be in a certain meeting at a certain time. All right, if people at their home, give them enough space so that they can attend to their family matters and attend to the work. And that needs a new ideology, that needs a new mechanism of managing people. And so what you have to do them is give them a task, give them a deadline. Okay, and tell them that, okay, you give me a progress report once, whenever you feel like, once 2 days or 3 days, and someone is not working, then ask them to give you a progress report once a day. And don't and then once the work is not done, then you will ask them why it didn't happen, but give him that space. Okay, if you would ask people to to be present at 9, at 9 in the morning, and then go and be in this meeting and that meeting, they will be there, but they can show their face there, and then they can do anything they want. So it's if your employee is not in a physical environment that you control, the rules are totally different. Okay, and so you have to think from scratch.
That's a very interesting point, and I would request everyone to take note, since we are going to be unfortunately be in this situation for a long time, seeing the recent and the ongoing conditions. And even once we come out, I think so remote working is going to become a culture that everybody is going to adopt. So this is something that we as a society should be looking and adapting to it for a healthier and a more productive lifestyle of all of us working together and working at home. So coming back to about your journey here. So currently you are running this company called RanchiMall. So why don't you tell us and our audience, what RanchiMall is all about? What are you trying to solve there? What the product is all about?
So RanchiMall is essentially a mall on internet.
It's a modern internet.
A mall, MALL, mall.
Mall. All right, mall internet. Okay.
It's a mall on internet. Very simple idea. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now I have two conditions in such malls. Okay. The first condition is, because we are already remote, I should be able to, every single good that which we sell in that mall, it has to be built, distributed, created, marketed, and sold on internet.
All right, that's a
Okay.
very interesting and I think so a very forward-looking thought. Back in 2017, I think so, when you started with RanchiMall, even for
No,
that.
I started RanchiMall in 2009. It was called Intricap then. Okay. The name RanchiMall evolved into RanchiMall because I realized I needed to build attachment to one, so that some people can feel some affinity. And when I was calling it Intricap, no one knew what it is, what it meant. When I said RanchiMall, then people from Ranchi had some people who had their attention.
Yeah,
So
I think so that personal touch and that connection is very important for any
especially
for the
when
product. Yeah.
especially when I decided that we will not have any venture capital. Okay, so I decided that I don't want any venture capital because we're going to do many experiments, and it needs some free space. So once you're funding everything on your own, and your ideas are so different, and you want to build something totally new, and through different methodologies, so you want 100% freedom there. Okay, so you don't want any venture capital and come and say that, okay, sign me a 3-year term sheet and I want 25% return in 3 years or 300% return in 3 years. So you don't want any kind of. You only want one constraint, that your product has to be the best and it should follow the core philosophy that you set down into it. So
Totally.
it was
Makes sense. I think so. That's a very important thing, and you found this at a very early stage. At 2009, I think so. A lot of people were still exploring in India. What the internet can do for them, and you were working you were 10 steps ahead of them, and we can see that today with how your thought process is working and how you have been engaging markets and your predictions about future. So, what kind of products are currently right now that you are showcasing in RanchiMall?
so the first product that we did was something called Bitcoin bonds. Okay.
Okay.
And the idea in Bitcoin bonds was, I will take customers' money,
Mm-hmm.
I will invest in Bitcoin. Okay. If the prices of Bitcoin falls, all the losses are mine.
All right. And
Okay.
how did that thing work? Can we go a little deeper?
Yeah. And so let me just complete this. No. So if the
Sure.
prices fall, all losses are mine. If the prices goes up, okay, we share all the gains 50-50.
Very interesting. I think that's
Okay.
the most safest kind of investment anybody can make.
And so it's safe right now, but at that point of time it was considered very speculative, in 2017. Okay. So, and also, uh, I'm going to guarantee you a minimum 13% rate of return for 5 years.
Very interesting. And what was the duration of the bond that you were keeping for this?
So we had two bonds. One bond was 3 years. The first series of bond with 3 years duration, and then second, and now we are doing a blockchain version of the bond, and that will be 5 years duration. So a minimum duration of 3 years. So you have to hold on for a minimum duration of 3 years, and I was 100% confident that in 3 years I'll definitely get more than 13%.
Makes sense.
Per year. Per year.
Makes sense because you have actually studied the market and you have understood the trend. So I think so 3 years was a good enough time to work around with that, and that's very interesting. So,
So we made $1 million on that, on just on Bitcoin bonds. Okay, and all I needed was a Facebook page, and it was sold only to my Facebook friends. I was didn't market it openly because there were a lot of regulatory uncertainty there, so we couldn't go out openly. And at this point of time, we have one person who has withdrawn recently, and he put about 1 lakhs an odd amount, and he has taken back around 23 lakh rupees.
That's a great thing, and I think so. That's 3 years time. No investment
So
today is
3 plus 1, it took almost 4 years. Yeah.
well, still nobody is providing that kind of a return in 4 years to 3 to
Yeah.
23 lakhs. That's
It's just
almost 8 times of what he's getting in 4 years.
the magic of bitcoins. Okay, so that was
Yeah.
the first product, but and so you don't want to get locked into a product like that because money is so easy out here. So you want to change the world. Okay, you want to bring a new ideology in the world. You want to do something which can benefit beyond just money. Okay, and I always saw Bitcoin bond as something that can it's a short-term measure which can fund my immediate needs. And I never saw Bitcoin bond as I see Bitcoin bond. I can sell $1 billion of bonds also today. Okay, I can. It's a infinitely scalable product. Okay, I can sell $10 billion of bonds. Okay, and in 3 years I know it will go 10 times. Okay, I'll make $5 billion. Okay, but if I make all my money from Bitcoin bonds, okay, then my hunger for doing more will go away. So
Very,
you want
very
to
nice. Yeah.
you want to make money from something which you feel is your masterpiece. Okay, something which you can feel can really make a transformational impact in the world. And Bitcoin bond was a good product, but I don't think it was transformational enough. It was a good product, but it's not a Picasso's painting. It's just a high yielding product. That's it.
All right. So, what other products have you found a Picasso yet, or you're still in the
No,
process?
we found out. We found out.
All right.
We found out. Yeah.
Okay. So, you're going to tell us all the products till the time you found your Picasso. You're now going to share about your Picasso.
There are a lot of products out here, but essentially, my Picasso is all of you will have a blockchain ID.
Okay.
Okay, and that ID is your bank account. That ID is your email address. That ID is your messenger system, and that ID, and using that ID, you can also access internet. Okay, just one ID.
Very interesting.
Okay.
So, is it something like similar on identity things, or it's completely separate?
No, nothing. There's no identity. All you need, see, every blockchain. What is a blockchain ID? What's a Bitcoin address? Okay, a Bitcoin address is essentially a public. It's a public key.
Yeah.
Okay, a form of public. It's a hash of public key. It's a public key. Okay, a form of public key, which has a private key. Okay.
Yeah.
And your wallet, your Ethereum wallet or your Bitcoin wallet, it's a store of all such private keys. Okay.
Yes.
So what we have done is in a Bitcoin wallet and an Ethereum wallet, you have multitude of keys altogether. I have taken out just one private key outside the wallet. Okay.
Okay.
And giving you a unique identity, unique corresponding public key.
Okay.
Okay. That public key is hash, which is hash is too complicated. So just think that public key is your public identifier. Okay.
Okay.
But using that public key, you could do digital signatures. You could do you could do encryption. So essentially, that key is enough for anything you need for me to reach you and for me to be able to get done out of you without usage of passwords, without usage of any servers and any systems. You take a piece of data, digitally sign with your private key corresponding to your public key. Okay. That piece of data can stand on its own, and no one can tamper it, and no one can hack it. Okay.
That's a very interesting product. That is kind of a revolutionary, changing things that can change a lot of frauds, a lot of identity thefts, a lot of internet scams and hacks that happen. That can really save and bring in a lot of more people to start using blockchain without actually getting into the intricacies of or the so-called the complications or so much of problems that people might face.
Right. So once that happens, essentially once that happens, what will happen is that you will create a new kind of economy. So currently our economy is governed by Aadhaar card. Okay, so whatever is the range of Aadhaar card, that's your possible universe of people that you can transact with. Okay, so you have a unique. Okay, but that's only people of India. Okay, and I don't know. So there's a law called Metcalfes Law, and what Metcalfes Law says is that if you double the number of users, the value of the network goes 4 times. Okay. If you increase the number of users to 4 times, the value of network goes 16 times.
All right.
No,
okay.
16 times.
16 times. Okay.
16 times. Every increase will double it.
All right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So if you had a system that can take, let's say, 1.4 billion people of India, okay, and if you had a system that can take 7 billion people of the world, okay, so that's roughly about 4 times. Okay, let's say 4 to 5 times. Okay,
Hmm.
5 times. Okay, so you will get an economy which is 25 times bigger than India just by one idea. Don't use Aadhaar card, use a blockchain identifier as a blockchain public key as an identifier.
That's very interesting because that's also in a way we are, talking about nations beyond boundaries concept, right?
And
Without
blockchain,
nation, and the blockchain can enable it, and that can be like one Earth, one identity. That's your blockchain
that is
identity.
that is that is where that is the real potential in blockchain. But if you were to restrict blockchain only in one company or in one country, then you
Mhm.
already have identities. You already have national identity card
Makes
number. You
sense.
have,
Yeah.
yeah. It's only when you break the barrier of the country that you
Mhm.
invoke Metcalfes law, that you
Yeah.
create bigger economies of scale. Okay, and it's only then you create a very very powerful economic system, and
Yeah,
that's why.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. You were saying something. Please continue.
So if you look at the number of US dollars in circulation today, cash, okay, it's about
Hmm.
1.5 trillion.
Yeah.
Okay, if you look at number of euros in circulation today, cash, that's about 1.3 trillion. And if you look at
Mhm.
the cryptocurrencies in circulation today, that's 2 trillion. Okay,
It's
and how come in 10 years we could create 2 trillion worth of economic circulating currencies, or which, when the biggest nations economic blocks have only done 1.2 trillion. The
Mhm.
answer is, your population is less. We are dealing with a much bigger population, and we are
True.
interacting much more. So obviously we'll go faster than you.
True, makes sense, and I think so. With blockchain, the concept has always been, about people beyond nations. That concept of not having any boundaries is something that has been always been explored. That there has been a sect of people who have always wanted, decolonizing nation states and making it better. Blockchain is one place where we can actually look at removing these boundaries and looking at everything and moving ahead above, and moving ahead together as a nation and not as just as human race and not as nations.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I mean, if you look at Kashmir crisis, for instance, okay,
yeah.
why do we have Kashmir crisis? Okay, we have Kashmir crisis because Pakistan wants a territory that we have, and we want some of the territory that Pakistan has. Okay,
Hmm.
so if you have these two fixed entities wanting one territory, and that settled issue is not settled, we are in a perennial state of conflict unless one of the states die. Okay, but
Exactly.
but we can't do that. In the age of nuclear weapons, we can't. Now, assuming we had a system where both India and Pakistan were to work together in a coin called India-Pakistan coin. Okay, where
Okay.
as soon as the coin value goes up, you know, everyone who is participating from both countries they gain.
Hmm.
Okay, so now we have created material incentives for people to work together. Okay, so currently the armies in both nations they gain if people fight together, because they get budgets and funding. Okay, and you have Kashmir issue out here. But if we can create a system where everyone is gaining by simple collaboration, and because of Metcalfes law, India Pakistan coin will be much higher than either India coin or Pakistan coin. Okay, so people can then see the real value in working together, which today they cannot see, and blockchain can solve that problem.
On that note, I would really suggest you should be sending this idea to the UN so that we might have some peace in the Kashmir Valley, and that might can get replicated in Israel,
I
Palestine.
feel so bad when people die. People
It
die.
is
Our,
it
our
is very
soldiers they
sad.
die. Our soldiers are dying a brave death out here, and people of Kashmir also die. Some of those who are militants, they could have easily been an economic value creator for all of us, but they had to
True,
die, and
true.
I feel so bad about it.
True, it's a system created problem, so we need to find that how can system solve that problem. So, and
I
I
mean, if
think
you look at if you look at Bitcoin, for instance, okay, Bitcoin
yeah,
solved that problem. Okay, who are the
yeah.
people who were the initial Bitcoin miners? Okay, they are the
Mhm.
people who were spending you the Nigerian scam emails to become a millionaire. So they had email servers. I mean, they had server computing capacity, and they're selling a
Mhm.
million emails to a million random people, and their conversion ratio was 1 in million. But 1 in million was enough money to pay for all the cost of servers and the people cost. So we are getting all those scam emails. Okay, when Bitcoin came, all that server capacity was redirected to Bitcoin mining, and we converted a class of people that were a nuisance for society into something that are creating value for society just by the rules of Bitcoin. And it's already done in Bitcoin world, and that was a very that's a model that we need to follow. That if someone is fighting you, like China went down from less than $100 million to today their economy is about $5 trillion. Okay, in span of less than 20 years. Okay, and India being the next door neighbor and we had a land continuous boundary with them, we did not gain out of their growth. Why? Because of a dispute between us which has been unresolved, and we cannot engage freely with them economically. Okay, and that's stupidity. Chinese people should be helping and building India, and Indian people should be helping and building China. But that's not possible under the constraints of the historical disputes that we have. But if we had again like India, China, Pakistan point, then again the game changes. Now you have everyone working together.
If if you are actually about to can share this information with world leaders, you might have world peace. That might be a way of moving ahead, and you might be the last person to get a Nobel Peace Prize, and this world might be a better place to live in.
I think that Nobel Peace Prize should go to Satoshi Nakamoto, because this has already been set in motion now. Okay, and there is no way it can be stopped.
Very modest of you,
Yeah,
you even put it, but you are the one who are thinking on moving.
Yeah, he showed us that we can all work together without barriers of nations, and he created a working system of that, and he made a system that none of the nations, even if they have their parochial interest there, there's a lot of parochial interest among nations to stop this, and a lot of people who don't understand this, but he created a system that even if they wanted, they could not stop it, and he has put us on a path of you could say global integration.
True. And that is there, and it's a ripple effect. This is going to stay. It's not going to end. Like even if one country bans, there are 190 plus countries that will still be there for it to go. And if that happens, then we have companies like Space Chain which are taking servers out in the space. So you don't need any countries as such to even hold your cloud information or servers out there.
And it's not easy. See, I mean, Indian government has been trying to ban it now for they first just let it slide by. They thought that it will just go away on its own, and then they realized it's not going away on its own. Then they created a shadow ban for Reserve Bank of India. That shadow ban did not survive the scrutiny of Supreme Court of India, and now you get all this unauthorized press release. I don't know, some officer says something, no source, no verification. It's just a malicious campaign to scare people. And so it's not that they're trying. There are a lot of people trying very hard to stop it, but it's just impossible to start it because the economics are so strong that the people who are participating in it are so passionate about it that that if the values increase, it can't be stopped.
Exactly, and also even if they ban today, and there are countries now looking at regulations. You're just not moving with the world. You're moving against it. And for any country today, with all the globalization and all the interconnected trades and services and everything that's going in, if you start moving away from the world, you are not moving towards development in any sense. So you need to somewhere work with the world to move.
See, I took some time when I was actually after 2009. I was taking my time out. I took some time to travel every single state of United States of America. Okay, and I did that for many other countries also. I did for Russia also. Okay, like took the Trans-Siberian Railway.
Okay.
What I realized when I was doing that travel, that the reason why United States of America has per capita income of $60,000 and more, and we in India are still trapped at $2,000. There's only one thing that stands between Americans and us, and that is what is the amount of freedom that we give to our people to do bigger things. Right? In India, people, entrepreneurs are running after paperwork and chasing paperwork, and they are running after the customs officer to get a second-hand printer released from the customs office. Even they import something, okay? In United States of America, you can take money from anyone, no questions asked. Start anything, no questions asked. Why did all are these Bitcoin companies starting in US and none of them are starting in India? And why are we so late in this game in India? It's just because that our regulatory environment simply treats such people who make changes with suspicion, okay? And if we are not the leaders in the world, if we are not the number one in the world in ideas, we can never make our Make in India initiative will fail. Okay,
I totally resonate with your thought process there, Rohit. I think so. I have this similar thought process, for following you. Just on that same note, what do you feel about regulations? Is on a personal note, is there how soon do you think so? We are going to see some positive regulations, or we are not going to see positive regulations? What is going
to we see one of the things I said all those things about India, but one of the things which I have realized is that unlike China, okay, in 2017 when I offered a Bitcoin bonds, China had 90% share in all crypto transactions in the world. They could have owned the world in crypto if they simply allowed it. But then there were companies like BTCC, huge companies, okay, like huge crypto, like Coinbase, and they were pygmies compared to those Chinese companies then.
Hmm.
And the Chinese companies, they bought a crypto regulation and expertly they banned everything and closed everything, and with under threat of arrest. Okay, and in India we have taken a middle path. Somehow there's something about India, we don't go extreme either ways, here or there. So we have taken a middle path, okay, which is okay. देखते हैं क्या हो रहा है, ये भी हम इधर भी है, इधर भी है, दोनों साइड में भी है, ठीक है. So जो करना करो. But what has that happened is that the Indian administrators have been wise enough not to take a drastic step, and the ban attempt was a weak attempt. It was not a very strong attempt, and that's the right thing to do when it comes to a new technology that no one understands. When a new technology that comes which no one understands, allow the market to open up, allow the market to expand, allow the entrepreneurs of you to do the magic for you, and then enjoy the fruits and become a world leader. We became a leader in software industry, a software industry because there was a 10-year tax holiday. And government said that we won't apply if you are in an SEZ, a special economic zone, a software park. We will not put any laws on you, and you can keep all your profits and no income tax on you for 10 years. Okay, you just did that once, and see India as a software champion of the world. And it's the same thing that you have to do in cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency is a revolution. It's creating massive wealth. You have to just let them alone and give them a free hand. Do whatever you want to do. Give them 10 years, and then see the magic. You will get a world leading country.
I think so that might work well. I have not followed the internet era that closely. You would have, but I actually feel that if we are given a free rein, we are given a positive environment, the country will do marvels in this particular industry. Because if you see, we already are seeing in last 1 year, once the ban was lifted, there's so many good companies, they're coming in DeFi space, otherwise in the non-DeFi, in the blockchain space as such, and making some really innovative products, and moving ahead, trying to make a bump in the ecosystem across the globe. So if we do have a positive environment, surely the Indian ecosystem will be flourishing like anything that goes on.
Well, Indian people, they go to US and they start running companies like Google and Microsoft. Okay.
True.
But they're not doing that in India. They're doing that in US. They're not doing that in India. Okay. Why do we not have a single world leading company emerging out of India when the same people can do in US? Okay. It's a very simple calculation.
Makes sense.
Give them freedom, allow them to do it, take away the fear.
I agree. Fear is one thing that is never a good friend of innovation or progress in any way. So on that note, I would like to ask you another question. So on innovation side only, you are the first person to first company to actually incorporate it on a blockchain as a contract. So how did that thought came into your mind to incorporate it on blockchain, and which blockchain did you incorporate it?
Right. So what happened when I was in control case, I had an interview once with a sales tax officer it was in Mumbai, in Bandra Kurla complex. Okay. And I took all the documents with him. And he looks at all the documents and points out an issue. And he says, what is this? I said, this is furniture. Okay. I said, how much is furniture for? So we had when I was setting up control case, I purchased 13 chairs. Okay. 13 chairs that at each of them were costing around 3,700 rupees. Okay. So I calculated that's about ₹1 lakh, and I told him, and he said that, all right. He said, give me a receipt. Okay. So this was a chair which I bought in 2004, and I'm doing this talk with him in 2007. Okay. So that sales process made me realize that just because I had incorporated as a company and I had to file sales tax returns and excise, all those things, there's no GST then, I got into a lot of issues like those. Okay. Like petty issues like those, and I realized that dimag kyun barbaad kar rahe ho yaar logon ke saath. So I was kind of thinking, how do I get rid of all these all the petty bureaucracy that is coming from the British era, and so initially I thought I will simply not incorporate, I'll just be an individual and simply not incorporate. But then when the blockchain came, and the blockchain that we're using is called the Flow blockchain, and we selected Flow blockchain because I went to New York in 2017 after a world tour when I was so inspired and see what everyone in the world is doing in blockchain, I went to Ecuador, China, and all those countries. So I ended up in New York, and there was a movie screening going on, only on Bitcoin. It's called Banking on Bitcoin. And all the who and who of New York Bitcoin industry was there. Blockchain industry was there. Okay? There was a senator, there was a the guy who started the Bitcoin movement in US, and so there was this young kid who was also talking about a blockchain, and I saw the kid has potential. And I talked with him, and so what he said, what they had done then was they simply expanded the Bitcoin blockchain and added some transaction comment space in it. Okay, and I had some computer science background. I realized that if this guy gives me transaction comment space, which Bitcoin guys were not giving, they were very, very hard on not giving you any space on their blockchain for that. Then we could essentially extend this to any application in the world you want. Okay, anything that can be done on any blockchain of the world can all be done on this blockchain, which is the Flow blockchain. And that's why we selected the Flow blockchain. And now once I had the Flow blockchain, and I when I had to do my ICO, I figured out that I better incorporate somewhere. And I cannot incorporate as a national entity, otherwise I'll have to break my head against with the same bureaucrats again every 6 months, or every 3 months, And now there's even worse. Now there's GST. Okay, so GST is even a bigger pain in ass in the country. It's really hard. Okay, so it just the mess keeps on becoming bigger and bigger. Okay, so then I just thought that okay, we need to change the game here. If we incorporate the blockchain, and if the people who are going to fund you, or people who are going to interact with you, they're bound. They see all those rules in the blockchain. You get an effective impact of an incorporation with, let's say, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay, so then I just thought that okay, this sounds like a great innovation, and if you can do this, then suddenly on the blockchain people can see your innovation, your incorporation, and they can automatically invest. Or someone wants to join, he can know what are all the contractual obligations of this entity, because all those contractual obligations are written in that blockchain under the blockchain, and there's nothing beyond that. Only just that. So that was the idea, and then we incorporated on blockchain, and so far it's been working great. We are a financially self-sustainable company. I don't need money from any bank. I don't need money from any investor. I don't need money from on my own operations. I can keep on funding RanchiMall for forever, essentially, and so I can. All the people who know me, they can, I'm essentially binding them all to the rules that we're setting in the blockchain. So that's the idea.
Very interesting. So on this note only, and so since it's not a blockchain-based incorporated company, a lot of government regulations or the bank accounts and all don't work for you, right? So how does it doesn't work, right? So how does your team, work in terms of, paying the salaries or, taking forward any of those things? How does
anyone can pay money to anyone, right? That's not allowed. That's allowed, right?
Yeah.
So any person A can do cash transfer to person B, on their personal accounts. Okay, and all we have to do is that if person A is transferring money to person B, we have to track that whether this is a company expense or it's an individual expense. Okay, so if I say in blockchain, I give a command in blockchain to person A, you pay to person B. Okay, and let's say we have some credit with that person A, and then the person A will see in the blockchain that he has to pay money to person B. He'll simply transfer the money to person B. Looking at the blockchain, and the money is transferred on a person to. It's a peer-to-peer system. So all you have to do is you don't need. So in a traditional company, you need a corporate bank account. We don't have a corporate, so we can't have a corporate bank account. But what we could do is we can create a blockchain controlled system in which we can make any person make payment to anyone. It's all written in the blockchain.
Very interesting. So for everyone who always thought, how a company, using blockchain in their financial services or any of their systems will look like, this is how, that can work in. And there is a live example in front of you. They have been running it for last 4 years now. So it is very much possible. So don't just, give up on the idea. The technology is here. You just need to think out of the box to understand how things go about. Because everything doesn't come with a manual. You need to write the manual yourself. All right. So being the first company to write to do the ICO in India. So any tips that you have, or any problems that you faced back in the time to
Yeah. Well, the biggest problem is that the prices go up so high. You make so much money. Okay, so our ICO, we started our tokens at one. So basically, I did my ICO in my own exchange, because I wanted to understand all the rules and I could control it better. Okay, so we created our own exchange for the ICO. So the moment the trading started happening, okay, our prices started going up, and I have a first-hand experience as to how Bitcoin prices goes up so fast. So essentially, what happens is with very small amount of money, if the sellers are not there, the prices can jack up very, very fast. Okay, so our prices went up all the way to $1,500. Okay, from $1 to $1,500. Okay, in like 3 months. or maybe 3 to 4 months. Okay, 4 months. Yeah, and now. So now that's a condition where you can very easily. I told you by first year of engineering when I got into trouble of money.
Yes,
It
sorry.
was it. Remember I told you about my first year in engineering when I got into
Yes,
trouble with
exactly,
money, right?
exactly. Yeah.
It was the same condition, which is a repeat of it. Okay, a lot
Okay.
of the prices have gone up very very fast. People have invested, and now you are running out of people who could hold the price. Okay, so what would happen is the price will suddenly fall there. Okay,
Hmm.
so then now I have two options. Okay, which is to somehow desperately seek other investors so that I can maintain a price of $1,500. Okay, and in that case, it is a very high risk that it can become a Ponzi scheme.
Now that's the
Okay,
biggest problem in 2017. Most of the people felt half the things were Ponzi schemes.
yeah.
Basically.
It's very easy to become Ponzi here. Okay, or then you have to do some change the rules and you have to secure the system. So which means that you have to let some of the people tell that they have to wait a bit and you have to change the rules of the game. So
Mhm.
I definitely I was not going to do a Ponzi scheme. Definitely not. I'm not. So I essentially changed the rules of the game in my ICO and I told people that they have to wait longer.
Hmm.
And I started and I started giving them essentially and I paid back all the people. I told them you can take back your original because I told them the problems, and those people who think they are stuck here, they can take back the original and they can go back. And so that's how I had to do what is called a soft landing of my ICO so that it doesn't become a Ponzi scheme. But I did get a board of, we could say, a board of ICO people on a WhatsApp group. So our board of directors is essentially a WhatsApp group now, who are the members of the ICO.
All
Okay,
right. Okay.
some very very high quality professionals, and we got some great ideas, and we also still have that valuation of $1,500, till now the dollars. So essentially, all of those people who have stayed long, on paper they are very very rich because of the fast increase has happened, But I'm not. I'm going to go back into the market only when we have those products which can stand on their own and independent of a new investor coming, independent of the product, independent of the new product itself, they could sustain that valuation. So
The,
so what I would say in ICO is go all for it. You can set your own rules. Make sure it's very easy. Don't get into it. You get so much of money so fast
mhm.
that you could very easily be blindsided into getting into a Ponzi zone. Okay, and if you are in Ponzi zone, then you will be arrested. Okay, there's no way out.
I,
You're going to go to prison.
I think so. That's a very good point,
Yeah, yeah.
Rohit. And for everyone who is a part of this industry, for the industry to, remain Ponzi scheme, we all as consciously need to ensure, we are delivering on our promises and, providing those returns to our retail investors or anybody who's investing in us, so that, the industry, the bad name that industry can get doesn't get into that. And that's a responsibility every person being a part of this ecosystem should be, working towards and looking at it. Then only, we can actually have that holistic view of having more crypto companies and blockchain companies coming in and people getting into this industry. There, I will, give it a short break, and there are some questions that people have written and they want to ask you. So I'll be asking those questions
Sure,
for you now. So, okay.
sure.
So how does the vision of Atmanirbhar fit with blockchain and globalization?
Well, what is Atmanirbhar? Okay, Atmanirbhar is we having the ability to take care of all our needs by
Mhm.
ourselves. Okay. Now, when we say we have to take care of all our needs by ourselves, it does not mean to make everything ourselves. Okay. If you make everything ourselves, that is when someone else can make it far better and far cheaper than you, then that's a punishment for your people. Okay. What you have to do, the meaning of Atmanirbhar is giving people consumption freedom. Okay. Let there be Atmanirbharta in consumption freedom. So if any person in India, if he finds the cheapest source of a human resource anywhere in the world, it should be very easy for him to get that source and then make the stuff in India. Okay. So if you redefine Atmanirbharta from making everything ourselves to freedom for the consumers to do anything that they want in India, okay, we will create a successful formula which has led United States of America to be the most powerful nation in the world, in spite of having it's not even the biggest country in population, not the second biggest country in the population, maybe the third biggest. It's the third biggest country by population.
All right. I think that's a very interesting point. And about Atmanirbhar fitting into blockchain, I think so. From his experience and how he is doing things. His own company is Athman Network. So totally blockchain can, bring it out. And globalization is something that if one country adopts, other countries, it's a domino effect. It has to happen. There is no going back from there. So there's another person here who is asking that, he heard that you are a medical expert. Are you
Yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have some. I had. I'm not a doctor on face, but I have a medical theory, a medical hypothesis, which I talk to my to my that's my father. I'm on live internet.
Hi.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So I'm on a so essentially I experiment with medicine a bit, and I have a hypothesis. If you want, I can share the hypothesis, which is my classmate, which I tell him, it's a very small
All right.
hypothesis. If you want, I can, So the first principle in hypothesis is number one: medicine is in your mind and in your body. Okay. Number two, your mind can achieve phenomenal cures if you can give it a chance.
Mhm.
Number three, remove the known causes of stress. Number four, keep yourself excited and keep yourself engaged. Number five, okay, and this is big. All medicines are placebo. Every single medicine in the world is placebo. They allow you to enable your inner energies to come out. Okay, so the medicines are not curing you. It's your body that cures you, and the medicines are only helping your body to respond better. Okay, so all medicines are placebo, and use them only when you have to use it and no more. Number six, stay away from any dangerous procedure. Okay, suppose if you do a very dangerous procedure in medicine and if things go wrong and you can die, okay, you stay away from that. Because we do not understand the complexities of your body so high that we don't understand all the systems going in our body. So don't do anything strange inside your body where if things go wrong, you can die. Okay, that's a very dangerous thing to do. That's my hypothesis. Okay, number seven, be it allopathy, naturopathy, and Ayurveda, all of them are enablers for your inner medicine to come out. Every system of medicine, that whatever you choose, they're all enablers for your inner medicine to come out. And medicine is in your mind. Principle number one. So let your inner medicine come out. Okay, number eight, what you believe in, you will respond to it. So if you believe in, let's say, Ayurveda, you will respond to Ayurveda. If you believe in Western system of medicine, you will respond to medical system of medicine. So always get your near and dear ones to that method of treatment which they believe in. Okay, they'll respond more best to it. And the number nine is always question even the best professional and experts. Okay, do not trust them blindly. So I was in Colombia and I've kind of cured some people, cured just by those principles. So
Very interesting.
experimenting, side experimentation, independent
Very
thinking.
interesting. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
so. We might have to have another session with you just to understand more aspects about you and what you have been doing.
Right.
And if there are any medical and blockchain things that you have also thought of that can be
Right.
revolutionary, that there. So we have another person, Nitin Gaur. He's one of our advisors. He
Yeah,
has
yeah,
shared an article for you that he's saying that Commissioner Pierce recommended safe harbor from crypto-based companies, and he
yeah, yeah.
thinks there's similar thematic element for letting companies in
Well,
tech grow.
SEC has a couple of commissioners, and Commissioner Pierce is one of the most forward-looking
She is.
commissioners, and she has been actively, actively asking for. She has seen the future and potential of it, and unfortunately, see the problem in America is that there's so many of business interests who make money through traditional means that. The opposition is very, very hard, but she's one strong, brave woman, and anything that she says, it should be taken very seriously.
She is, and she has
Yeah.
actually, he has also shared a link for the
Right,
proposal that was submitted. So
right.
you might like to have a look at it, and you
Sure,
can
sure.
share
I'll look
your.
at it.
Sure. Yeah, and there is now a personal question for you, and that
Yeah.
is, can you share a bit about your global experiences, such as driving around USA?
Okay, so the best experience was that I stayed about 15 days in a nude colony in a place I won't tell you. Okay, in
You
US.
say that, and I think so. There will be more people joining in
Yeah,
after this,
see, I mean,
only for
it,
that part.
see, it was a very remote place. Okay, it was a very remote place, and you had to walk maybe like 25 miles into that remote place. Okay, in the 10th mile, I saw a nude lady coming with a backpack. Okay, and that moment I saw, oh, my life is made. Like, I don't want anything. God, this is heaven. Okay, this is heaven. So yeah, that was very interesting.
All right. Okay. So anybody who's looking at it, you should all find that, that outskirts nude place in US and go visit it, or else you can then pester Rohit and bribe him
But
to.
I'll tell you one thing: that community was it's a magical community. They share a lot. It's a very I learned a lot from those people, and I'm very grateful to those people to have made me part of the community and shared their goodwill and shared their knowledge and shared their love. And I'll use this occasion to communicate my sincere thanks for everything that they have done.
That's very sweet. All right. So now we will be coming to an end to this lovely fireside chat. Though I have a lot of more questions, for you, but our time has already we have surpassed the time that I had taken from you. Before I do that, I have one question for you, and then a quick rapid fire round,
Right.
where you are not going to give you time to think.
Okay.
So the last question is that the high and a low point in, in your journey of building Rachi Mall that has been there.
Low point was when I had to let go of one person, and I let go of another, and it's just because we are in a shoestring budget, okay, and so we have to preserve the money, okay. So we have a unique system of mechanism. So there was a little of money issue, and I had to let go of him, and that was a low point for me.
All right. And the high point?
High point is some of the fascinating products, world-changing products that came when one of the interns they gave me when our cloud got completed, the data cloud. It was technically very challenging, and when I saw the whole data cloud was working, I could see the world changing in front of my eyes. That was a high point.
All right. That's very interesting. Now the rapid fire round. So
Okay.
who is your idol?
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. Okay. Any other public figure or entrepreneur that you follow?
No, I'm a very, very big fan of Steve Jobs. The kind of ideas that he came out with. Among the current lot, I admire. You could say 50-50, not too much, but I admire Elon Musk quite a lot because of his audaciousness. Okay, there are a lot of things that I don't like, but I love his audaciousness. Okay, and I of course I'm a massive. I had a massive fan of Satoshi Nakamoto. So I had a resort in Bali. Okay, I did the world's first blockchain resort among a lot of things I have done, and I had a street name. It's called Satoshi Nakamoto Avenue or Drive. Satoshi Nakamoto Drive.
I'm very curious to stop the rapid fire and ask about this blockchain resort in Bali that you're talking about, and just get
Okay.
a couple of things
So,
to understand.
so, so, so the blockchain resort, in the sense, you could. So right now, when people they stay in one room, they pay money, right? They pay money to stay in a room. What if people who want to stay in a room, they created a token system, and the token got valued, and that the token paid for all the rooms. Okay. So essentially, that was the experiment I was trying to do in Bali in 2017 itself. Okay, just after the ICO. And it was called RanchiMall Alampuri Blockchain Resort, which was Alampuri was the entity I was collaborating with, and was the first blockchain resort, and we had so it essentially had a lot of villas, okay, and every villa was named after one blockchain entity. So we had an Ethereum gate, for instance, or we have Coin Telegraph Villa, okay, and then we have Flow Villa. Flow was called Florin Coin, then Florin Coin Villa, So all the basic people, and I flew my entire team to Bali. We lived there for 4-5 months, and then I got cultural programs, and then I ran out of money. so
They had to shut down the villas.
it's not shut down. It's not shut down. It's not shut down, except for the fact that I don't want to take money from other people to do it. So now we have made some more money out here. So that project is still very, very live out here. It's one of the experiments we did. And so it's the world's first blockchain resort, and we'll finish that. We'll finish that project. Once we are done with our. See, the problem was I got standard for technology. I had a concept. I had the money. I had the people. I had everything, but I did not have technology. Okay, and I thought that in that short time I can get my people to build the technology, but I realized that the challenges in building a practical blockchain systems are so high that I will take some more time. So I talked to the owners, and they said, all right, let's just go a little bit slow on this, and also there was like Corona shutdowns and all. In any case, the world came to a grinding halt even in Bali, tourism industry, so for last 1.5 years, but once they open up, when the world opens up, we are ready to to launch our ideas of blockchain, like
Very interesting.
blockchain resort.
I think so. I'm going to book my first international trip once the world opens up to your blockchain.
If you book, I have an offer with you. You stay free on us.
All right. Okay. So once I will be booking my tickets to Bali, I will be getting in touch with
just
you.
let me know. Just stay in our blockchain resort. Okay.
Perfect. That'll be great. That'll be great, Rohit. All right. Coming back to the rapid fire round, podcasts or the blogs that you follow, to keep yourself updated.
Actually, I'm not following any blogs, but I look at the Medium articles that now come through all the people that share on Twitter. And so you have got some amazing Medium articles that come in which people talk very, very deep ideas. So one of the guys that I really admire is a guy we found out. We have a program in RanchiMall called we do a daily tweet series. It's called RanchiMall Stories. And there's a guy called Gurta, Goorta. Gurta. Okay? He's an Indian guy in US. Okay. He writes he has some amazing ideas there. And there's another guy called Vijay Boyapati. Okay. Vijay Boyapati basically talks about all the indications and how Bitcoin works. So I kind of admire it. I admire it a lot. And of late they're doing some amazing work in DeFi space. Okay, the amazing works in DeFi space, world-breaking work in DeFi space. So following that space grow, the ideas that they're emerging, how they're redefining banking system. So I read articles on that. So it's a combination of things that I get. Mostly it comes through Twitter and WhatsApp and Facebook forwards. And I watch. My favorite blog is Blockchain India.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you, and that means a lot, Rohit. Thank you. So the influencers that you follow to keep yourself updated and see what's happening.
So I like to follow the unsung heroes. Okay, I like to follow those guys who have extremely deep knowledge, but they don't have a million followers. Okay, so, and we have plenty of them. And every day we try to seek such people in our series on our Twitter. We call that RanchiMall RN stories, RanchiMall stories. We do one. We find such guys out here. And then I follow all of them. Whatever, if we pick anyone, we do a lot of research about their background, and then we follow all of them. If you want to take a little bit of education from RanchiMall, follow our Twitter. It's called RanchiMall Flow at Twitter, RanchiMall Flow, and you will find one tweet, and which is an exceptional high quality tweet of an exceptional wisdom given by someone, and each of them are worth following. It's about learning. It's basically about learning for me as well. And that's what I'm trying to enable for myself and for others.
That's very interesting. I think so. I'm going to go and check all these people out you are following, and take some inspiration from these unsung heroes. All right. If you were to put your money in one token, which would it be?
Basically, we have put money in Bitcoin, Flow, and RanchiMall token. So essentially, Bitcoin will give us the money to run our operations. Flow is the intermediate. No, we will. It's an intermediate. Will take us to. You could say it's a next jump for us, and I think we believe that we are working on Flow. Flow will be a big coin in future, not now. Once we are ready, Flow will be a very big coin. Sufficiently big coin. And finally, my all of us, my number one favorite is RanchiMall tokens, because that's what's my own coin. And my 100% of my bet is in RanchiMall token. My biggest bet is RanchiMall token. And so those are the three coins I'm a fan of. And I'm trying to finish these three projects. Bitcoin, I have to do nothing. Flow, I have to do something. RanchiMall token, I have to do everything.
So makes sense. If you cannot put your money in your own token, then how can you ask anyone else to do it?
No, most of my money is on RanchiMall token only. Yeah.
That's lovely. So, ways that you keep yourself motivated on a daily basis.
I just get motivated by listening to youngsters who are doing amazing stuff, right? And there's this guy called Sandeep Nanwal, who was my junior in Nitty, and he was my Facebook friend, and I started posting on Facebook all the blockchain stuff, and he started following, and I saw his transformation, and he became a blockchain entrepreneur, and he ended up creating now a company called Polygon, and his token today is one of the top 50 tokens. He's an investor in RanchiMall token as well, and one of the original investors in RanchiMall token as well.
Right.
But when I see youngsters taking the mantle and showing us the path, teaching us what should be done, I get really inspired.
I think so. That's a lovely thing, that you're sharing with people and giving the youngsters to come forward and take it forward. That's not a trait.
And watch out for this guy. Okay, watch out for this guy called Sandeep Nanwal. Okay,
he's doing great, and I think Polygon is going to go mountains. It's going to achieve a lot of things Today only I was seeing they are at rank 36 or even more above that. I am
Yeah, yeah.
forgetting exact rank. So they are going to go places, and
They're
it's
going to go
really
places, and they're going to it's just because they have a fascinating team, and now that's what see now this is what I want to say, why we should collaborate with China. Okay, they were enabled with Binance. Okay, and Binance helped them and enabled them to come up, and now they're standing on their feet. So India and China have to work together. Okay, if you work together, we'll get world class companies. Okay, if Binance had not supported Matic, which was called at one point of time, Matic would
hmm.
not be this big. So we have to collaborate. We cannot be fighting with Chinese people. They are our friends. They can enable us, and we can enable them. And the biggest example is Polygon Matic. They were enabled by. Okay, and I'll tell you one more thing. Okay, and I should show it. Sandeep Nanwal himself used to be a nationalist. Okay, he used to be anti-Chinese earlier in his life. Okay, and
All
and
right.
then and then he realized that the reality of market, and he became open, and he went ahead and found opportunities in one of the conferences. He found the opportunity with Binance, and collaborated, and they helped him come up. And now Polygon, now Sandeep Nanwal is on his own now, and you can say
And I
Polygon
think
is
so
now
that's a
fulfilling.
success story, people
Yeah,
should learn from, and, look at the greater good and see how much of benefit it can have for themselves and for the country, and see
and for
how
the
things are
country,
going about.
and also in the idea that we should not treat anyone as enemy, but we should treat them as friends, and we should eliminate them to. So Polygon is just not an India story. Okay, it's an India and China story, and we have
Exactly.
to see the full picture.
And
Let's
they're
to see
doing
the full
so
picture.
great,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
their fundraising for COVID relief, with starting their DeFi fund to, promote startups here. So they have been really working hard to, bring forward the ecosystem and, support the upcoming startup. So I really do have my, money on Polygon to ensure, and I know they're going to go places very soon. And
absolutely,
Sandeep
absolutely.
and
I
team with
agree.
Anurag and Jayanti, they are all hard taskmasters. They're going to really, they're like team A, to achieve everything.
Totally,
Uh,
totally.
so,
And
so
and another one is your team. Okay, Akshay Agarwal and you. Okay, don't count yourself out. Okay, so
thank you.
you guys. Okay, so that's also because Akshay, I think, is from Tim Draper University, and I,
Yes,
I almost
yes.
ended up being in Tim Draper University when I was in US, but then
Mm.
things happened traveling out here. So Akshay is very good of him that he went to Tim Draper University, came back India, is doing some initiative,
Yeah.
and you joined him. You are and both of you are very. See, you ask me inspiration. Look at young people like you and Akshay. That's inspiration for me. Okay?
Thank
That's,
you. Thank you, Rohit. That's very
yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
Final question: a book that you suggest our community members to read, or something that you have read recently that
Well,
is
what,
very
what I
nice.
would what I would suggest people is to read Milton Friedman, Free to Choose. Okay, so
Sorry,
in
which
19
one?
Milton Friedman, okay, Friedman, I think depending
Okay.
on which. So he was an economist. He was an economist in 1970s, and he did a television series called Free to Choose. Okay,
Hmm.
but he also created a book on that that same theme called Free to Choose. Okay,
Okay.
so if you read that book, you will create the basic ideas which is necessary to create an economy out of blockchain. You will see blockchain is just not about technology; it's also about economics. Okay, and that Free to Choose gives you the basic ideas of freedoms and what you should be doing, so that you can expand your mind and take your blockchain coin places economically. So I would suggest Milton Friedman, Free to Choose.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
We have last question. That is, your logo is very nice, and what
Right.
does it mean?
We had one of our investors. We did a logo suggestion, and so she said that okay, this is Ranchi Mall with R, so make it an R. You know, and R also stands for rupee, and R also stands for R Rohit. So I said okay, I said that was a good idea. R, let's do an R. Except when we did R, we realized the R was so thin that it was not showing up well in any of the posters and all. So we repeated that R three times. Okay, and that's how the Ranchi Mall logo came. So three R's in a selected by Bhavna, who was wife of one of our investors.
Very interesting. I think so. That's a very interesting concept. Rohit.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for taking out time and sharing your insights and your journey. It was a really insightful chat, and we all learned a lot from your experience. Before we end this, any message, any ask that you have from the community, please take this time to.
Well, I would tell the blockchain community of just not India but of the world. Future is in your hand. You are shaping the new rules by which our generations and their kids and their grandkids are going to live. So we have a responsibility to make sure that we navigate this revolution for benefit of mankind, and not do what the pioneers of industrial revolution did. When industrial revolution happened, that technology was used to enslave people. Okay, so we have a responsibility on us that with this newfound power and newfound money, we have to make sure that we are on the side of freedom, and we are on side of enabling other people, and it should not the technology should not be used to enslave other people.
All right. Thank you. That's a very powerful message, Rohit, and something that what the technology stands for. Uh, and I think so, the ecosystem should listen to it and move towards that. Thanks a lot for taking out time, and we look forward to having you more at our, our initiatives and taking things forward and looking at Rachi Mall with their progress and everything.
Perfect.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure in being here, and looking forward to see you in Bali then.
Yes, very soon then. Very soon.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
See you.
Bye.